Hello, my name is Julie Nichols. I am an average Catholic layperson in San Antonio, Texas, and I serve as a private practice academic language therapist in broader society. I hold specialized credentialing in autism spectrum disorders, cognition, dyslexia, and LGBTQIA plus inclusion in healthcare, which all help me better serve the children, youth, and young adults who fall within these areas. I'm also an early onset Parkinson's disease patient and had deep brain stimulation surgery in 2017. I thought about using a secondary source to create this video, like a number of my articles, but this video is directly from me to the Catholic Church. Anyone is welcome to listen and ask questions on the YouTube channel. A friend of mine and her daughter, Renee and Sandra Boys, in the LGBTQ community helped me edit some pieces of the script. As a professional, I provide individualized intervention plans for people who fall within my specialties. I also do some professional writing, speaking, and serve in religious trauma recovery as a Catholic lay minister for the largest ecumenical religious trauma recovery ministry in the world called Freed Hearts. I also serve Catholic families who are experiencing and escaping ideations of suicide and other traumatic experiences. I will also finish a lay certification for the Catholic Archdiocese of San Antonio in May. Because of my work and parental experiences, I have published a number of articles in various private Catholic sources, secular medical and secular educational sources such as New Ways, Outreach, Pathos, Jazzed Healthcare, and Zype Education. I am also a bi-weekly writer for Pathos Catholic. My husband Grant of almost 28 years and I have 4 young adult children who are all the inspiration for my work and service to individuals who fall within my professional specialties. Today I'm going to speak about the life and human dignity issues of special populations and their families within the Catholic Church. There are a number of places where pastoral ministry aligns with science in the Catholic Church, but even a larger percentage of it does not align with science. And the vast majority of experts of various fields of medicine and science. I hear lay Catholics and even lay leadership say, well, we don't have to follow science because we are the Catholic Church. For many individuals who fall on psychological spectrums, which are not like most of their peers, especially children and youth, it can be a matter of life and death to align pastoral ministry with current science. So the church may not have to legally align, but it's still about the sanctity of life, the dignity of the human person, and participation in family, church, and society, which are all Catholic social teachings. Pope Francis has also given authoritative direction in his encyclicals to provide proper pastoral care to individuals who fall within minority populations, while Jesus commands us to love our neighbor as ourselves. For those of you who value family, friends, charity, life, and the well-being of all people, this video is for you. I base the content of this video from research and practice provided from the collective majority of major medical associations and professionals. 3 years ago, I discovered something I did not know. Many Catholic and other Christian families had been forced to leave their churches because their children came out gay or transgender. Through my work at Freed Hearts, I have witnessed many families who had to choose between their child's right to life or remain in their faith communities. As a practitioner, my eyes started opening even wider to the life issues of LGBTQIA plus youth when I personally encountered those who were suicidal from their conservative Christian homes. Their suicidal ideations occurred at higher rates than their non-religious or progressive Christian peers. Gender dysphoric or transgender youth and their families have been under attack in Texas with threats from Child Protective Services wishing to charge the parents with child abuse for following their doctor's orders. Many parents of transgender children fled Texas as political refugees to protect their child's right for following what every major medical association says to do. As a practitioner, I have worked with neurodiverse children in the disability community for many years. Because of that work, I understand that there are variances in neurology, psychology, biology, in a certain percentage of the population. There are likewise variances in gender and sexuality for a certain percentage of the population. The LGBTQ plus experience is actually 3 to 6 times higher in families with other neurodiversity, like autism. This does not make anyone less of a person, but equally created in God's image. As a disability practitioner, I started to understand the depth of the LGBTQ plus life issues by making connections and bridges between the disability world and the LGBTQ plus spectrum. This spectrum is not a disability spectrum, but indeed a true spectrum of psychology, not a gay agenda or a personal choice, as those who don't know better claim over the medical consensus of professionals. Many neurological conditions are intrinsically fixed by the age of 18 and cannot be changed or altered. These conditions typically start showing signs in early childhood. In the same way, we need to be aware that this is also true for LGBTQ plus children and youth. The vast majority of medical associations and professionals say to fully support a child's gender identity and sexual orientation. This support can be critical, for when even one parent fully supports their LGBTQ plus child, the suicide rate dramatically drops. 25% of children who come out gay or transgender are expelled from their own homes and religious communities. These children are much more prone to suicide and other harmful experiences, such as addiction and lasting psychological damage. The suicide rate in the LGBTQ plus youth from conservative religious families and churches is twice as high as it is from those from non-religious or more progressive religious homes and churches. Any effort to coerce or change an LGBTQ plus child's identity, such as gay conversion therapy, reparative therapy, coerced celibacy, and or threats of damnation, are deeply damaging and sometimes cause irreversible damage and increase the risk of suicide dramatically. Fully accepting LGBTQ people can be difficult for conservative religious parents, professionals, and ministers, in particular because religious people have to reconcile faith issues and be at peace with God while unconditionally living, supporting, and including LGBTQ plus people and their families. The lives and health of these people depend on at least one person fully affirming and supporting them along with other professionals and ministers. That is why it is my faith that helps me place the sanctity of life, the dignity of the human person, and unconditional love above any other doctrinal struggles I might have. This is why faith leaders are coming to affirming and accepting positions for LGBTQ plus people and their families. Years of poorly applied theology have been proven to harm disabled, neurodiverse, and LGBTQ plus people and their families. The largest sources of harm and causes of suicide to these populations are various forms of rejection. Rejection and abuse negatively affect these people for the rest of their lives. With the right love, support, along with following science and doctor's orders, children and young adults who are neurodiverse, disabled, and or LGBTQ can thrive. According to every major medical association in the world, when we look at the consequences of rejecting the neurodiverse and LGBTQ plus children in family, church, and society, we find depression, anxiety, self-hatred, shame, self-harm, substance abuse, separation from family, people, community, isolation, anger, other serious mental illnesses, and even suicide. That when we teach that we love and accept neurodiverse, disabled, and LGBTQ plus people unconditionally, the fruits of our acceptance are health, healing, love, joy, peace, self-acceptance, stable relationships, reconciliation, and family unity. Fully accepting and including transgender or gender dysphoric children would be no different than fully accepting and including children with disabilities and or neurodiversity such as autism. Being LGBTQ plus is not a disability, but it is part of us being on a spectrum intrinsic to being a human being. Unless you yourself are capable of lifelong celibacy, you are not qualified to expect this from someone else. Someone's sexuality is between them and who they choose to tell no one else because it is very personal. People, in most cases, are incapable of a life of celibacy without incurring lasting psychological or spiritual damage or even death. Now, specifically for Catholics, LGBTQ people need unconditional love, support, especially from you, for their human dignity, the sanctity of their lives, and suicide prevention. Love and acceptance from Christians is seen as love and acceptance from God. Christians rejecting or trying to change who LGBTQ plus people are is seen as rejection and abuse from God. Jesus and the Gospels were all about love, inclusivity, and defending the marginalized. I understand that doctrine is part of biblical and church teaching, discourse, and even disagreement, but we must theologically place the sanctity of life first. God would never want doctrine to be applied in such a way that harms and endangers the lives and well-being of others. Jesus came for the disenfranchised, the ones society rejected. If we claim Christ's name, we need to follow his command to love the Lord our God with all our mind, soul, and strength, and love our neighbors ourselves. This means loving LGBTQ plus youth unconditionally, and in the case of transgender children, using their correct pronouns and name and including them, not excluding them. Just doing these things will help reduce the suicide statistics dramatically. This is why I wear a free mom hug shirt to Pride events to potentially save a life. Various forms of rejection just do not endanger the lives of LGBTQ plus, neurodiverse, and or disabled people. They endanger the lives and the human dignity of their entire family. Both science and personal experience in the home and in religious trauma recovery have repeatedly proven that this is true. I want to give special recognition to Catholic leadership like Bishop John Stowe of Lexington, Kentucky, for not only reconciling, but holding a service of penance for the wrongdoing the Catholic Church has done to LGBTQ plus people and their families. I have also reconciled and admitted where I've been wrong because I have not always been affirming myself. Overall, the church must move to reconcile with LGBTQ people and their families and provide safe and affirming pastoral ministry that aligns with current science for minority populations. Anything else will continue to endanger and disrupt their lives. And I'm going to close with a quote from the Hogg Foundation, which is in alignment with every major medical association in the world. The Hogg Foundation for Mental Health states that every word and action of love, affirmation, and acceptance can make the difference between life and death for LGBTQ people and their families.